All right, finally it is showing, and you can see this time now it is showing the words. So we don't use this one now. So the process of interaction design, as it is saying there, is so it put in a diagram form. The process of interaction design actually shows the four activities that we say. That of course, in this case, it has added implement and deploy. But up to the part of the designing, so we have the requirements, of course, understand the user. And then once you get the requirements, of course, this is a part of collecting the requirements. And then you do the analysis of the requirements and now convert them into the language of technical language of how things will actually be done at the designing and the implementation. But of course, here it's a more of analysis and analyze that. Of course, that's where you do the conversion of the user statement to something that is now a little more technical that can guide you towards building the system, which is of course the software. And of course, once you put a technical language, then you can start now doing the designing. So design for this case, we are designing for interaction. So you can think of this like you are designing the user interface. And the user interface, then we say do prototype. So this is where we are iterating. So we keep here, we design something. Of course, the prototype, the design, then we convert it to a prototype. A simple prototype, the user work with this prototype, and we are observing, or the developers are observing and getting feedback whether they have managed to get the right thing that the user can actually be happy with. So once we do that, we go back to the analysis stage, and we of course we correcting the from the evaluation, we are collecting some new requirements, so to speak, and so we are analyzing them and also doing the conversion to a technical language, and so going on and doing the design again. So we might keep here for a while until we feel that the user is satisfied by our design. If the user is satisfied with our design, then now we can go ahead and do the final stages of developing whatever we are developing, where we do now to implement and do the deploying. Of course, the implement is the developers build the system and then deploy it, give it to the user. It is ready. No more designing. Now it is what the user will continue to work with. And so that's just capturing the process in a diagram form. And of course, as I said, when you look at this, it resembles very closely what you've been learning about the SDLC. Of course, it is not as detailed. It is certainly leaving certain things, like it is not saying when do you test it. But of course, when it comes to the test, our test is here. So as we do the prototypes and let the user do some work with it, that's when we're doing our testing. But of course, in case we don't call it the testing. So of course, there are certain terminologies that do not come here, because this is just a part of. Sorry for that. So this is just part of. I think I went down somewhere. So this is just part of the process, the SDLC, because here we are focusing more on just one part of the whole development, where we are just focusing now on the user, what we can call the user interface. All right, so we are focusing just on the user interface, so to speak. So how do we deal with that? So this diagram is trying to encourage us what we need to look at and how we can go about it as we try to understand the user and build the right item for interaction, the right user interface for the interaction. Okay, so those stages are explained a little further down there, which I don't think we'll need to do that together now. User-centered design. So what is this user-centered design? So in this case, when we are designing for the interaction, we emphasize on user-centered design or user-centered interaction design. It says there, user-centered design. So user-centered design, sorry, is an approach to software development. User-centered design focuses specifically on making products to be usable. Okay. The approach typically entails involving users in the design and testing of the system so that their feedback can be obtained. Prototypes are usually employed to do this, and designs are modified in light of the user feedback. So user-centered design is involving the user as much as possible, and of course, using the prototypes. The prototypes are used so that we can grasp the reaction of the user on what we are designing, and then we get feedback and try to improve our design. All right, so initially it may seem that the user-centered approach complicates software development tasks due to the need to make iterative refinements to the software in light of the user feedback. It may look like it adds more work to the developers, but we always say that it's better to take a little longer at that point and have the user kind of owning the process and owning the system, and also, of course, hopefully also get being happy about what is being designed, than ignore the user, and then at the very end, the user rejects the product. It's better you take some time here, and so as you move on, the user is already owning the process, will also own the product, and of course, hopefully has shown that it's happy with what is being designed. So principles of user-centered design is that we focus early in the design process on the users, and then measure users' reactions and performance through various approaches, as it suggests. Use what you call the scenarios, use manuals, use simulations, use prototypes. All these are part of capturing the user reaction. Design iteratively. Don't move too fast from one phase to the other, and especially around the analysis and design part. Do iteration. The iteration actually have something to do with continuing to improve the item from if you want, you can call it the versions. So the previous version is improved to a new version, and that one is also improved further, So iteration simply means that you are continuing to improve what was there before. So that is iteration. And of course, it also has a concept of repeating a certain process. And of course, but the more focus of the word iteration is improving what was there before, until, of course, you get satisfied that everything has been put into play. So all usability factors must emerge together, is that you are still focusing on usability factors. So you also seeing that, of course, this is meant to help to improve the usability as much as possible. And so, as we said, this is still software development, and so it is still based on software development lifecycle or system development lifecycle. And so we talk about the models. I don't intend to talk about the models, but this is already captured from my previous statements that we're still following the concept of the software development lifecycle models. The waterfall model, of course, here now it's different. So we're also asking ourselves, what among us all these software development models, which one would be like the best to capture this concept of user-centered design. And so, of course, there are some which would be very close to that, but we have also others that are very far from the concept of user-centered design. Well, but this subsection here tries to discuss a bit of these life cycle models, which we already are aware of. So just mentioning in passing without taking any time to do the study there. But of course, for you, is very, very important that you make sure that you review your understanding of the various SDLC models that are there, the waterfall spiral model and others. But the one which approaches very close to a user-centered design, of course, are those that incorporate prototyping. And of course, we have a number that incorporate prototyping, including the spiral model. If you can remember, the spiral model has some prototyping. There is a part where prototyping is done, and also it keeps on improving. You know, the way it is drawn like a circular thing. It's supposed to be improving things as it does. As it moves in circles, you know, they're supposed to be improving, and you know, the previous design. Then rapid application development is also based on prototyping. So, and it talks about the various types of prototyping. But of course, it also involves the user a lot. So the issue here is involving the user and also doing the iteration and creating prototyping. So those are the models that can be used in doing the user-centered design. In HCI, there is a number of more user-centered design focused, including this one called the STAR model. So there's one called the STAR model, and the STAR model is based on the fact that, and this is a diagram for the STAR model. Unfortunately, it's too big on whether it will allow us to reduce it. Unfortunately, sometimes this system does not always go very easily when you try to make changes. Let's see whether you can have it fit a little more on our space here, so you can see the whole diagram on our screen. So that's but the STAR model. So this is an addition now to what we already have. So when it comes to interaction design, we also have a model called the STAR model. So the STAR model, of course, looks more like what we call in a networking. We talk about STAR topology, where we have a mid-row, some mid-row device. Of course, it's not a device; it's just a representation of what is happening. So there's something in the middle there. Then surrounded, you can see some of these words make sense from the development models. So we have, of course, it is not organized in any order, but you can recall some of the concepts like requirements. So you go out there and you gather requirements, you do the analysis. So you do the analysis, and of course you do the design. Here, but you also incorporate prototyping, because this is now user-centered design. You incorporate prototyping, and of course, once everything is ready, after the design is good, then you do the implementation. So the same terminologies, but not arranged in any order. And what it tells us is that when we are doing the user-centered design, and then the activities that we are going to do not follow any particular order. What is important is to catch the user's reaction, and the needs and the requirements. That's what is important. And so we can keep on going round and round, and but then the importance of having the evaluation in the middle is to say that this is very, very key. And of course, the evaluation is done with the user practicing with the prototypes. But it's like everything we do, we always do a testing with the user. So whether you are doing the analysis, you test with the user, talk to the user about that. Let the user be involved as much as possible through the development process. So of course the requirements is obvious, because that one you interact with the user, but again you are keeping on testing whether you managed to capture the user's feelings about the system. So this is called the STAR model for user-centered design, and it puts the what we are calling evaluation here in the middle, to say that for every phase you keep on evaluating. So don't do like the waterfall, which the user is involved only at the beginning. Then it starts moving down, and no, the user doesn't have any role to play in those other phases until at the very end, where now the user is brought the item, and then they might find that it does not help them. So the best thing is keep the user involved, let the user be part of the process, let the user test the systems, especially at the design level. Let the user giving his or her feedback about the design, and that way you are able to move with the user and come up with something that you know that the user would find useful. So the STAR model. So another one, which is more focused on the user-centered design, is the concept of the usability engineering life cycle. So this is also a model, although it does not have a clear diagram about it. This is more explained in text. We call it usability engineering, UE. So it's a systematic approach to making software easier to use for the individuals who actually use it to get their work done. It is an approach to the development of software and systems which involve user participation from the outset and guarantees the usefulness of the product through the use of a usability specification. Sorry, let me just move this. Okay, so let me read that statement. It is an approach to the development of the software and systems which involves user participation from the outset and guarantees the usefulness of the product through the use of usability of a usability specification and metrics. UE, in short, UE thus refers to the entire process of producing usable software products from requirements gathering to installation. UE is based on user-centered design, in short, UCD approach to analysis and design. So let me just answer. Yes, Maya. Sorry, I have to inquire. Yes. Yes, and sorry, I'm in the middle of a class. Can I call you later? Okay. Sorry for that. So, there is another user-centered approach, or like another kind of a model. So this one doesn't have a diagram. Of course, some people do try to come up with a diagram, but it is mainly describing text, and it is called the usability engineering lifecycle. And the way it expresses the whole process is explained in this particular table. Unfortunately, we may not be able to see the table on the online because it covers quite a large section. But let's see if we can fit it down here and see whether it is able to show on one. Well, it's a huge table, but at least you can see a bit of it. So usability engineering life cycle, so some of the stages, of course, we call them stages, although they are not really stages as that, they are more like just activities that happen know the user, and know the task, user requirement capture, setting usability goals, etc., and of course, it explains what exactly happens at that particular stage. So when we say know the user, we are trying to understand user characteristics and user background. So we go beyond just collecting user requirements, but we also get to know the user and the type of work this user will be using. Of course, if it's a computer, what type of an environment is be used, or whatever the software we are developing. And again, I need to also, I like that this concept of user-centered design is not just for user interface, but it can also be applied across the whole phase of all the phases of a complete software. So it is not just for the user interface, or except that at this point our emphasis is on the user interface, the whole concept of interaction. And so you'll later look at this, the user engineering, usability engineering, or UE. So that's another approach that tries to capture what a user-centered design should incorporate. Now, we talked about prototyping. So all the software models that incorporate prototyping, they are good. Not all, of course, but most of them are good for user-centered design, because with the prototyping, in most cases, the prototyping is always evaluated with the user. So it talks about, so this document has a bit of explanations about prototypes and so what are the type of prototypes we need to create. So we have two types of prototypes: low fidelity prototypes and high fidelity prototypes. So the low fidelity prototypes are those which do not require you to create what we are calling down here interactive system. So these are just like designing just on paper, just simple things, doing some what we are calling role playing, etc. So those are low fidelity prototypes. But the high fidelity prototypes, of course, is a software, is something that is a little more interactive, most like a basic software that is trying to present an interaction platform for the user. So low fidelity prototypes versus high fidelity prototypes. So as I said, this document also gives various types of prototyping, which you already are aware: evolutionary prototyping, throwaway prototyping, and evolutionary, incremental prototyping. The incremental, so evolutionary, throwaway, and incremental prototyping. So the other important concept in user-centered design is something called the contextual design. Contextual design. Now, the focus on this is that it's good to also capture the requirements, capture the user requirements by visiting the user at the environment where they will be using the product, and you get to feel and of course also to see the way this particular user does their work, their day-to-day work. That might be very helpful in coming up with a design that will be useful to this particular user. So contextual design focuses on going to what we call to go to the field. It's actually very much similar to what we call now. If you think about research, in research we say the various ways of collecting data, and one of them is called observation. So this is just another way of talking about observation. The method we normally call observation, where you go and you observe the user at their place of work, and you capture that by just observing. Of course, you would like to be asking some questions when the user does something. Maybe you say, now, why did you do it that way? And so that also So there is this concept of contextual design, which is a very important as part of the user-centered design. Are we better with the audio? Is it improving? Sometimes I think we're having a challenge with the network. So are we still okay? Let me, I think at this point it's good to confirm if the audio is still working well. Is it still clear? I can see Charlo had getting very, it wasn't getting Charlo very clearly. So let me have a confirmation. Is the audio are still good and strong? Is it still strong? Yes, let's see a confirmation. Not much clear, so I don't know how good it is, but are you understanding most of the concepts as I share them out? So it means that we are having a challenge. Yeah, sometimes the network is not very good at the moment, and that's actually why we notice that the document took so long. The document took so long to load. That was showing that something is not very strong. And of course, in this case, it's the problem is networking. My internet is not very strong at the moment. So not clear. But so let me know, is it, but are you able to follow the discussion? Are you able to follow the discussion so that we see whether, if it is too bad, then we see what to do. All right. Well, Baraka says you can follow. So what I can do, yes, Zefila is also saying it's not too good, but yes, you saying at least you can understand the concepts somehow. So what I will do is that I will not keep us for long. So let me just share a few more concepts, and so we will not take. I will not delay for too long because we don't want to continue for too long with that. And well, Innocent is saying you can follow the discussion. That's good. Thank you. That's encouraging. So as I said, I will not take too long. So let me be concluding. Remember, I have one more area that I will just raise, but again, it will take a very short time because we don't want. All right. Sorry, I think the document is not sharing. So let me share it again. I think I may have touched something on this other end. So let's try to share the document again. And hope it do not take too long. So, but otherwise, so we are talking about the contextual design. The concept of contextual design, as it relates to user-centered design, it's a main issue there is that it's good also as part of the user-centered design that you also go and you gather more data about the user and how the user works, and trying to improve your design. Thank you. It's now displaying. So you also do what we call gathering data by evaluation. That is the whole issue about contextual design. And so for that one, I will let you read a little more and capture the more detailed description and discussion involving that about contextual design. Well, this part here also something that is important. Why involve users? And so it gives some good reasons. Two also just two, but there should be more. But these two are important. Expectation. There is something we are calling expectation management. So what is the user expecting? Now, if the user is involved a lot through the process and the phases, then you are dealing with the expectation. So they will not be expecting what is not there, because they have been part of it, and so they already know what to expect. And also, if it's good, they know that you are winning the user. The ownership, of course, the expectation management is part of the ownership. Also, managing the ownership, you want the user to own the process as well as the final product that will come from this. So what is the role of the contextual design? So all these I'll let you look at. This describes the contextual design issues that are to be dealt with, how to do the contextual inquiry and related issues. So all these I will let the student read at your own time. But remember, they are important to be understood. But I don't think there are any necessarily any complex concepts within the part that I'm leaving out. So I want you to look at that. Of course, I'm also trying to be sensitive about our audio, and so it's not good to extend too much when we have that challenge. All right, so allow me now to move to the other topic. Is not really a subtopic, it's still a major topic, but I'm going to take a very, very short one. Now, the only issue that is that I will ask you to log out and join the meeting for that particular topic, which is at the area for topic 5. I think when you look at the our portal, the portal for this unit, you will see the area for topic 5. Join the meeting for that particular, for this other discussion that I'm about to start. The lecturer will also do the same. I have to actually close this meeting and open a new one for the other topic that we want to look at. So I hope we can do that very quickly. So let me also open the other meeting. So at the area of topic 5, join the meeting that is placed there. So we will leave this particular meeting and join another one, which is at topic 5 area in the portal for this unit.